we're talking about one of the best side-scrolling roguelites we've ever played. Hey guys, it's Cody with Indie Game Pulse, where we bring you the hottest indie games with the coolest memes. Noita, in a nutshell, has you side-scrolling through an open world as a witch, progressing through different areas and collecting upgraded weapons and power-ups to help you on your journey. We were given a review copy of the game at launch, but we have done our best to remain objective in our evaluation. However, it's tough to sound that way when the game is as fantastic as Noita. Let's get into it. I want to talk first about the open world because this probably isn't what you think of when you hear that term. The areas are sequential, meaning you pass through them in the same order every time you play, but there isn't a set path to your destination, and you have freedom to explore different areas. With every pixel simulated and alterable in the world, your options are almost limitless, allowing you to explore areas that seem unreachable. This really stands out in our minds as one of the greatest achievements of Noita. The world can feel dark and claustrophobic, and the paths in general are pretty tight, but the freedom to change the world and create new paths opens up so much room for creativity. Some of our greatest moments happened when we saw something in the corner of our screen that we couldn't naturally reach, and we made it possible by the means supplied through the randomly generated elements or wands. While we're on the subject of Noita's world building, for a side-scroller, the atmosphere is top-notch. Dank, moody, and with a subtle soundtrack that you probably won't listen to on its own, but fulfills its purpose very nicely, adding an air of mystery and caution as you dive deeper. We think the minimalistic pixel art style helps you to focus on the gameplay, but the world is definitely beautiful in its own way. On to our next point, Noita is a roguelite. Death is permanent and painful. Bonuses and wands throughout the world are randomized, so when you finally have a nice setup and then meet your early demise, it's hard to start another game. Actually, who are we kidding? That's the draw of roguelites, that the next run you could always have better luck. Randomized wands are placed throughout the levels, with the option to buy more and customize each wand at the end of each stage. Some spells are confusing, and as with everything else in Noita, you must use them at least once to learn their effectiveness. The customization of the wands and spells is excellent in our opinion. We were able to create some really fun wands once we learned a little more about the individual spells, but some combinations are just not meant to be, like combining the saw blade with the boomerang effect. Live and learn, I guess. The mana or magic power in the game is interesting too because it's not tied to your wizard, but to your wand, with different wands having different capacities and recovery rates, further increasing your customization. So let's talk about how Noita actually plays. The gameplay is tight and exciting. Slinging spells like Gandalf is all fun in games until you run out of mana, and then you have to either bide your time or switch to another wand. There is a steep learning curve from one area of the world to the next. If you think you feel capable in the first area, just step into the second and get roasted. This could be a downside depending on your perspective, but we enjoyed the fact that you have to weigh your options before rushing into any fight. Speaking of a learning curve, nothing outside of basic controls is really ever explained, forcing you to learn from your experience within the game. You know what they say, experience is the greatest teacher.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Another one of our highlights of Noita is the mental balancing act of wanting to explore as much of each area as you can to gather gold and other collectibles, but also needing to find the exit so that you can restore your health and buy upgrades. If you have a lot of health left when you find the exit, it might be worth your time to continue exploring before moving on, but things could also go awry in a heartbeat. The risk-reward scale is tricky and very addicting. If we had to give a downside, and we'd really struggle to even call this a negative, but the lore is vague, but still intriguing. With different scrolls being found throughout your journey, you can pick them up and place them in your inventory, but we haven't yet found a use for them without researching it. At 10 hours into the game, we wish we had a little more information on these scrolls. We also aren't too sure about where the story goes, and similar to the lore, it's a little vague. We're sure there's more to discover outside of what we have reached, and even at 10 hours, we are still discovering new and interesting parts of the world. To wrap up, Noita is a great game filled with exploration, creativity, and tons of death. We think the falling sands nature of the game and the sheer amount of customization and experimentation makes this one of the most creative roguelites out there. Give it a try, we almost guarantee you'll enjoy your time playing it. We had a hard time just putting it down long enough to record this review. If you enjoyed the video, click that like button and check out the videos on your screen now for more indie game reviews and countdowns. We'll see you on the other side.